it's Nicole for Simon Says Stamp, and today I have a light up reindeer card showcasing the December 2016 Simon Says Stamp card kit, and it's got this great Chibitronics light up kit included in your card kit this month, and here you can see the nose lights up when you push the word light on my card. So I'm going to share with you how I created my card. I did a little masking as well. I'm going to start by die cutting my frames, and I am die cutting them from some of the Doodlebug pattern paper in the kit using Simon Says Stamp stitched rectangles and ovals dies. This is going to be the frame. Then I'm going to take that oval die and die cut that from some smooth white cardstock, and that's where I'm going to create the masking and all of the stamped images from the Merry and Bright stamp set included in the kit. I'm going to use my Misty to stamp these so that I can stamp the images one on top of another and get really nice crisp black stamped images. I am going to speed through this a little bit since it took a little bit more time because of the masking, but I am just partially cutting out my reindeer. I don't have to cut out the whole thing, just that bottom area where I don't want any overlap. Go ahead and put my mask down, clean my stamp and move that out of the way. And then I am going to stamp two of the gift packages at once, at least the two that go on either side here. So go ahead and stamp both of those. You can see where they overlap a little bit. I can remove my mask and looks good. I'm going to create a mask now for this gift package. Again, going to clean off my stamps, get those out of the way so I can grab the last little present there. All of these images are from the Merry and Bright stamp set, which can be purchased individually or comes as part of the December 2016 card kit. And at this point, I really felt like I needed another gift. So I went ahead and created a mask for that last little present. And I'm going to stamp that large gift box again. And that's really going to round out that whole little collection there. I am going to include all of the coloring, but I am going to speed it up a little bit. I'm going to start with the reindeer. I'm coloring all of my images with Copic markers. The colors I'm using are listed across the bottom of the screen for reference, so if at any time you're wondering exactly which colors of markers I'm using, they are shown down there. I'm using one of my favorite color combinations for the reindeer, E40 and 43 for the light areas, and then E43, 44, and 47 for the darker areas on my reindeer, and E47 and 49 for the antlers and the bottom of the feet. So I'll just work to get everything blended here. R24 and R29 are for Rudolph's nose. If you do not want him to be Rudolph, you can definitely color that a different color, but I just really like that, and I think it's going to work really nice for the light up feature for this card. I also colored the collar area with one of my red markers, and I left the jingle bells so I can fill those in with some gold stickles. Now I can move on to coloring in the gift presents. I'm also going to ground my images by using some warm grays and blending that out. That way it doesn't feel like my reindeer and gift packages are floating there in that oval. I'm using a couple shades per color, so RV 52 and 55 for the pink, and then BG 11 and 13 for the aqua. This is a nice little kind of unconventional Christmas color, pop of color. Makes it a little bit more interesting to look at, I think. Couldn't decide where I wanted to lay down my green, so I went ahead and went over here to my large package. This is going to be YG06 and YG17. Just kind of feather in that color and then blend it all out. Just keep blending everything really well. Go ahead and make the ribbon on this package pink. Next, I'm going to color in this package's ribbon with my reds. And then I really couldn't figure out what colors I wanted to use for the package itself. And I decided to go with gray, so it kind of is a silvery gray in my mind. because I really love the gray and red color combination for Christmas anyway. So I colored that in very, very light grays for my last package so that it's more of a white instead of anything else. Taking the Wink of Stella clear glitter brush pen and going over some of the areas on my gift packages. And then outlining my whole thing with BG10. Now I have another solid rectangle die cut with that same stitched rectangle die. That's going to be the back of my Chibitronics little light up thing. And what I'm doing is holding this up to the light, which is really hard to see in the video because I kind of had to hold it at an awkward angle. But that way I could see through the paper to mark where exactly Rudolph's nose is. That way I'm just marking on that back paper here, giving myself an idea where the word light's going to be, where the nose is going to be, and I'm marking them with pencil. No one is ever going to see it. When I'm working with the Chibitronics kit or light up kits, I always kind of mark with pencil on my background paper, and it's kind of messy, but it gives me a really good guide, so I kind of know what I'm going to do before I do it. Now I'm going to create a little battery housing and secure that. This is where that word light is going to end up on my card, so that's where you're going to push to light up Rudolph's nose. Then I'm marking my positive and negatives for the battery, also drawing my lines for the copper tape, and that circle, of course, is where my light's going to go. This is a simple circuit. You don't really want to cut your copper tape and put it back together. You don't want it to touch here where the positive and negative are, of course, but when you're making turns like this, fold it back on itself and then just kind of keep twisting it around until you get to where you're going. I'm just going to wrap it around here, snip off that end. You just don't want the positive and negatives touching. I like to burnish my tape then with a bone folder when I'm finished. That's going to kind of help with how everything works together. Then I'm going to take my light and make sure those copper ends on my light touch the sides they're supposed to, and then see if it lights up, and it sure does. So there's what it's going to look like. Oh, so cute. I'm going to secure my battery to the back of the battery housing box with a couple of glue dots. This is just going to keep it secure so I don't have to worry about it falling out. And then I need to build up the rest of this panel with some foam tape so that it's the same level as the battery. And I have found that 2 layers of the Scotch foam tape work to do that. That way the battery isn't on all the time. It'll only be on when you push that certain area on the card. So I'm kind of just going to go all the way around here and fill in the background of my card with my foam tape. Just doubling it up all the way around. It really ends up looking kind of messy, and it's a really good thing that the recipient can't see any of the stuff that's going on kind of quote unquote behind the scenes. I like to make sure I use plenty of foam tape just to make sure that everything stays really nice and secure. And you're going to want a good base for when you take your frame and that colored and die cut oval and place that on top. You want everything to be nice and secure. You don't want to have any areas that kind of compress in and look kind of awkward. Go ahead and finish this. Then I'm going to pull off all of the backing paper for this. And I will start with the frame first and fit that over my background here. You have to be a little careful with that battery housing box since it's kind of right in the middle of that bottom part of the panel. But I just kind of slowly worked my way around, making sure everything was even. I needed to add just a tiny bit of foam tape in a couple of areas I noticed as well that looked kind of funny. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Make sure that side is just as secure. And then I'll go ahead and replace the oval in the center. And when I push that area, his nose lights up. I hope you can see that. I turned my light off on my desk a little bit to show that. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put my Gold Stickles glitter glue on the jingle bells on his collar. My glue bottle was a little clogged. I had to unclog it. And that's going to dry while I work on the greeting. And there it is. Okay, I'm going to take some of the vellum also in the kit, and I'm going to stamp one of the greetings that's kind of in that arc that fits on the banner first using Versamark ink, and I'm going to sprinkle on some red embossing powder. Go ahead and tap that off, and I made it mess with my embossing powder, so that I cleaned that up real quick before I moved on. Now I have not heated this up yet, and that's because I don't really like to heat over my first embossing. I don't think it turns out as nice, but I also don't want any of my white powder to overlap any of the red. So this was a little time consuming, but I carefully went around all of the sides on my banner, sprinkling on my white embossing powder, shaking it off so none of it got in the red embossing powder on my greeting banner. I love two-toned embossing like this over vellum. I think it looks really pretty. And that way my greeting is not going to overshadow the rest of the stuff going on the card. But you can still see it. It's still part of the design. Once I have that, I'm going to go ahead and heat that up. With vellum, I like to try to make sure that I heat both the front and the back, so it will minimize warping of the paper. Vellum especially tends to warp if it gets too hot. And then I'm going to take my scissors and fussy cut this banner. That's going to look super cute. I am now taking some liquid glue, adding little dots of it behind the embossed areas, and I am going to stick that right there underneath the images on my card. So I'll go ahead and flip that over, place that right along the bottom edge. I'm going to put something heavy on top of it to hold that down. I also am going to take a couple of little heart stickers, also included in the kit. These are the little doodle bug stickers, so cute. They're left over from my other card I created with this. I'm going to put some glossy accents on the nose. You'll still see the light through it, and also on those heart stickers. It's going to make them a little dimensional. Make sure to let all of that dry. I've also die cut a bow using the Perfect Bow die and some of the pattern paper in the kit, and this is going to go on top of the card to finish off the design. I'm using glue dots, the little Thermoweb Zots mini bling glue dots, to put together my bow. So each little section has a glue dot that attaches it. I found that this really works the best. Keep just adding glue dots, adding the pieces. I also cut the bottom part. I cut the the ends of the bow, I guess I want to say, apart and placed them a little differently so they wouldn't hang down in front of my colored images. Wrap that ribbon around, and then I'm going to glue this to my card with something strong. I think I used glossy accents, and that's going to keep it really nice and secure. Yeah, I'm just going to put a little glue on the back of that. Place that on my card, set that there to dry. And then finally, I'm going to attach this whole light up panel to a white side fold card base. I'm just going to put my adhesive on my card base. Take my light up panel to that, center it, and that is going to finish up my light up Rudolph card showcasing the December 2016 Simon Says Stamp card kit. Thanks for joining me today. Please be sure to visit the Simon Says Stamp blog and YouTube channel for more inspiration. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.